What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of For the Love of Bodybuilding. I'm your host, Logan Shults. I'm here with my co-host, Ian Powell. And today we have a new guest, Tyler Waltz. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yep, absolutely.
Solid. So, gentlemen, how has your last 7 days been? Tyler, let's start with you.
Um, it's nice to be a person again, honestly. It's been a long prep, and getting off stage last Friday was very bittersweet. Ready to be in a good off season, but already missing the stage a little bit. Just picked up some of my get up in the morning at 5 a.m. no matter what now because I've been doing it for so long. So just been keeping my stair climber in, doing stuff like that, but letting food come back and stay in control at the same time.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the best ways right there is just to you get so used to it. I mean, getting up in the morning, doing your cardio, just keep those habits in, and that just allows people to grow a lot better. I think a lot of people, they think, especially if they're first starting out, I feel like they run into that issue like, oh, cardio, prep's done, cardio's over with, but it's just routine. And staying in that routine just allows you to be better and better. But yeah, it's only been a week, right? Yeah, a little over a week. That's crazy. For me, nothing's really going on too much. Competition season's picking up. So, first competitors in a couple of weeks, so I'll be traveling for that one, and then a couple local shows, and then I'm still in prep. So, other than that, nothing too much going on for me. But what about you, Logan? Anything big happening? Yeah.
I've had a couple of big things happen, but the last 7 days were kind of boring except for yesterday. Yesterday, we obviously found out that we're having a little boy. So that was, awesome. I was fully convinced that we were having a girl, primarily.
I was too.
Primarily just because of the scientific aspect of it, of female sperm are generally more resilient. And considering I had to go on fertility protocols and it took me 7 months to get her pregnant, I just assumed that no male sperm were viable.
Yeah.
But to go from zero sperm to being able to have a boy in 7 months is pretty good. So I'll take it. And then I won my first overall as a coach yesterday with Liam, who we'll have on next week. So that was pretty awesome as well. But that's enough about me. We're here to talk about Tyler.
Well, honestly, I should have said it at first, but congratulations. I mean, being a father is the greatest blessing I never knew I wanted. So, especially having a boy, I thought the same thing. I'm gonna have a girl. I was in prep when we conceived Zane, so I really thought that, man, this is gonna be a girl, and it was a boy, and super cool.
That's impressive.
You're a genetic anomaly, yeah.
Yeah, but we joke. It's like we call it the Waltz curse because it's like generations on the Waltz side of the family has just been boy, 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 boy. It's like I was like, I'm gonna break it because I'm in prep. I already know it.
Yeah,
sure as hell.
Yeah.
Damn, that's impressive. It really is. It speaks. I mean, I guess it depends on how long you were using prior to the prep that you got her pregnant on, but it could speak to a lot to your genetics, and that you were able to still be producing at that level. Yeah.
So how many? I was just gonna say, did you do any testing or anything, Logan? Because now we're running into we want number 2. Just came out of a long prep. I already know I probably need to go get tested and figure out what needs to be done. We're running HCG, but yeah, I was curious if you had gotten any testing, what that looked like.
So I used a site called meetfellow.com. It's like $200. They mail you the kit, and then they have this very strict level of instructions. You abide by them. You take the sample to UPS. It's there the next day, and almost every time I've sent my sample off, they receive it I always try to get to UPS right at 8 a.m. They typically receive it our time about 12 p.m., which is 10 a.m. their time. And then I typically have the results 4 hours later. So that's who I used, and that was the process that I used for that. Yeah.
Good to know.
Really the bigger concern, and HCG helps, but the FSH is really what you want to be more so focused on because FSH is more so in control of spermatogenesis. I hope I pronounced that right. That's a
It's a big
difficult word to
word.
pronounce. Yeah. Um, but that's really more so like what kind of controls it. So it's a little bit more important in that regard. But how many shows did you do this year? I mean, I know it was like it seemed like a fucking 6 show run or something.
um, Started with tournament, then we did Better Bodies. We weren't honestly. I wasn't even going to do Phil. It wasn't even on my radar. Mainly because David at that point had a guy who thought he was Class C in Classic, and he doesn't like running guys in the same class, especially if he thinks they're both competitive. He wants to win, and he wants us to win. So he doesn't want to put us necessarily up against each other. And when he did Ronnie, that other competitor JC who just turned pro this last weekend. He ended up he heighted like a full inch and a half shorter than he thought. So he's like, "Hey, he's B. I want you to hop in this if you're good for it." And I came home, talked to Rose, so we ended up doing Phil Heath and then Junior. So it was 4 this year already.
4, yeah, 4 shows. Yeah, I saw that with him. I was like, I thought he was Class E and he was Class B. It's crazy how these different shows hype people. I'm like, this got to be a fix because this is like a real problem. Like, I mean, you could think you're one, then all of a sudden you have to be 10 pounds less or something like that. I mean, we're running into some issues with that one, but I saw that. That was crazy. But 4 shows in one year, that's crazy. I
It's a
haven't even done
lot.
4 shows yet. So that's
Yeah, four
impressive,
shows.
man.
4 shows in a year is a lot. I've only ever done 2.
Yeah, two,
What
two
made
this
you
year.
decide to do that many?
Juniors was always on the book.
Okay.
And then we really all we had planned other than that was Better Bodies. I didn't want to do tournament. It was just I felt small, didn't feel competitive enough. Better Bodies seemed like it had enough traction. Um, but man, we were coming in so fast, and it was 3 weeks before Better Bodies was about to happen, and it was one of those we were about to start mock peaking, and we just kind of looked. David and I looked at each other. And kind of said, "Let's go see what we can do. I mean, let's just go see what it looks like, how this peak looks, because the look that we had ran a couple shows late in the year last year, trying to learn my body because it was my first time working with him. Um, but it was a completely different look this time around. He was like, "Let's just go play with it, see what we can do." And I mean, it was a great show. To win that overall was awesome. I mean, granted, it was a smaller show, but
Mm.
uh, it just goes to show you, any given Saturday, there were guys that had been in prep probably longer than I had at that point, and to just kind of walk in and say, "Hey, I'm here," and have fun with it. And honestly, that shifted my season to, man, let's just have fun. Like I showed up
Yeah.
and had fun first time and messed around, got an overall. Let's just have fun from here. So
Mhm. Was that 2 overalls you won this year, right? 2 different
no,
divisions?
no, I only got the one classic overall.
Yeah, that was the
Battled
first one,
for
right? That
Yeah,
tournament champions. Okay, yeah.
yep, and then battled for 5 others, and I ended
Yeah,
up in center stage every damn time.
yeah.
But it was always that one thing, as always. But hey, I mean, to be up there, that's
Oh,
where I
yeah.
also started to realize, okay, we're in the right place. Like we're doing the
Mhm.
right things. Like this is going to be a productive season.
Mhm. Now, on that, since you did both, right? You did classic and men's physique. Is there an area that you're leaning towards, or I know David does that a lot with people, but is there something like you prefer, or where do you see yourself in the next 2 or 3 years from being competitive, pro level, whatever, whichever one you get your pro card in? Where do you think you fit the best?
Um, it's a great question because I mean, it's all back to the subjective part of our sport and the fact of like my feedback all year from the local level, and I saw 3 different head judges every single time I competed, and the feedback
It's
was
good.
consistent every time. It was, you are classic, but right now, you will always do better in men's physique. And judges were saying, "Hey, what you need to do a national? What's your national?" And when I would tell them it's going to be juniors, um, I mean, they called it from the get go. It was Rich Palmer at tournament, and he was like, "You're going to end up doing better in men's physique than you will classic, but you are classic. Like by all means, your structure is classic." But those also, he related it to me. He goes, the best men's physique guys could be classic guys. They add the tissue, they do the work. if you like, if I can't even remember his name that just won the St. Pete Pro this last weekend, his legs are huge.
That guy's won like 3 men's physique shows, I'm pretty sure, like in a row, right?
In 8 days. In 8 days,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
won.
What?
This guy's like crazy. He's just winning them all in a row.
Yeah. But yeah, just from a structure standpoint, and personally, I love classic. If I could choose a division all day, any day, classic. I love posing, love the art, love the spirit of it. Um, I do well in men's physique, so it's one of
Yeah.
those. Why hang up the board shorts if it's working? I think if I did end up going pro in men's physique, I think I'd pull Logan Franklin and just have a really nice off season, come back as a classic guy. But also, who knows?
Well, in the pro ranks of men's physique, there's a weight cutoff, and it's the same as the NPC Classic cutoff. So whatever your
Yeah.
height class is now, that would be your weight class in the pro league as a men's physique guy. Let me ask you this. I saw something about you getting heighted differently, and then you were able to re-height at one of the shows. Was that junior nats?
Yeah, that was juniors. So
Okay.
I got, yeah, go for it.
So you're normally above 5'11".
Yeah, consistent. I've
Okay.
never been under.
Yeah. So your weight cap is what, 212?
I think the new, so I'm
215?
5'11". I think it's 217 is the cap.
217?
Damn.
Yeah, that's an 8-pound jump between me and there, because I'm between 5'10" and 5'11". So
Yeah,
it's
you're
209.
207. Or you're
And
209.
that's the crazy part is,
209.
number one, when I was shitting bricks because I kind of got under there nonchalant, just didn't really stand up,
Yeah.
I didn't worry about it because I always land at 5'11 and a half, just
Yeah.
consistent. And I got up there and I just stood. He took my measurement. I stepped out, and I'm thinking like we're in a good place. At this point, I had been getting close to my weight cap as I was eating throughout the day, but I wasn't there. Like I knew I was under. And he goes 5'10", 3/4, and he looks at the paper because he needed to check the weight.
Yeah.
And I think he could read in my face that I was going, oh shit. Because at that point I was 3 pounds over or something, somewhere around there. And it's not that, 3 pounds, so I can go sit in a car with the heater on and get it out. I had my first coat of tan, so then I got to pay for another tan. But, it's one of those, it's doable. But I was sitting there like, man, what the hell? And he kind of saw that panic in my face. He goes, hey, get back here, stand up tall. And, you just do one of these. And he's like, yeah, 5'11" and, 3/8.
Yeah.
And walked away. And it was like, all right, cool. So we were in the clear. But
Did you solid, basically?
You know what's
no,
crazy is
seriously.
my very first national show was nationals. It was still in Orlando. It was the last year it was in Orlando. And when they heighted me in, the guy literally his first question was, do you normally compete in class C or class B? And I said C. He goes, yeah, you're a smidge over 5'10". And I was like, okay. I mean, I was going to make either weight. It didn't really matter at that time, right? But I was like, okay. Then I realized there's a little bit of leniency here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've never been heighted that close to 5'10" before. It's always been 5'10 and a half, 5'10 and 3/4. But yeah, that's when I realized that this isn't always so set in stone.
And the other thing that I think benefited me that day was that I had my tan an hour before check-in. And yeah, I was just across the street from my hotel room, but I was like, I'm just going to sit in the lobby and wait for this check-in. So I posted up in a corner. There was a chair. And Becky, the head judge, came around the corner. She's like, we're going to start check-ins early. So there was only 12 of us there. Now, had everybody been in line at 4 o'clock for check-in, I don't think they would have re-heighted me. Just for the fact of getting people through and everything else. Yeah, but he was he's like, go ahead and step back. Let's see again. And so he did me a solid. And like I said, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal, especially because the way I was coming in, we were coming in full on purpose. Water was still high. Food was still high. It's like I could go make weight in 30 minutes if I really needed to with a shower or whatever. So,
Yeah. So One of the things that I wanted to talk about, and it's something I didn't know about you at all, is that it looks like about 6 years ago you sustained some pretty significant injuries. You want to
Yeah,
talk about that a little bit? I'm curious as to what happened.
yeah, I grew up racing motocross. That was like my main, I guess, sport when I was
Hmm.
growing up. Uh, COVID happened. I actually, it was right before COVID. I had just decided, it's funny. I had started competing in 20, I want to say it was 2018. I can't remember exactly. Natural, uh, was getting stomped on and kind of fell out of love with it. But it was one of those. I went and I bought a bike again. And I was like, I'm gonna go ride the pro am circuit. Um, and I was doing that thing. I ended up going to a practice, showed up late. It was a private track, all this, that, and the other. Well, I basically launched myself. I was hitting this big finish line. I mean, double, and it's got a gap of probably about 60, 70 feet. And my tire spun the whole way up. Didn't ever get traction. And when I was in the air, I actually, like, the way I took off, I couldn't bring it back. So essentially, the bike threw me into the ground, and I took compression on my left
Oof.
side. Uh, Comminuted fracture on my collarbone, fractured T1, T2. I broke, I think it was 5 or 6 ribs. One punctured my lung. Um, I had neuropathy from the nerve damage that was caused by the fracture at the T1 and T2. It severed the ulnar nerve, and I think I think it was I can't remember if it was a fracture or a broken scapula, but regardless, that was in there too. Spent a week in the hospital, learned to re-walk, and then they just, as the day I could walk, they kind of just pat you on the ass and were like, "All right, get out of here."
Good luck.
Um,
Right.
Damn.
I
Yeah.
went home. At this point, it was COVID. I went home with a lot of nerve pain, and for anybody that has never had like true, true, true nerve pain, I mean, it's like uh, it was like if your arm was asleep all the time, or if you slammed your funny bone all the time, and your whole arm was just feeling that constant pain. And I was dealing with that a lot. Um, and I couldn't get into a neurologist because of COVID. It was 90-day wait times, plus you have to do a televisit first before they'll even consider seeing you in person. And I think more than anything, I was living alone in my house up on the north side of Dallas. My parents, they were coming to check on me all the time because it was like I couldn't move my arm. Um, my dad found a neurologist for me. He was just one day, he was like, I'm going to go find somebody. And he did the backbone work for me, found somebody that actually took me in clinic. Um, and they did a lot of things to rehabilitate it to a point that I could move it. Um, I always tell people it's like they did the acupuncture with the TENS machine attached to it essentially, and they just shock your muscles and nerve back into a working, and it would allow relief, but it would always, by
Right back
midnight
up.
that night, I would be waking up in the same pain that I had for days. Um, and then they put me on gabapentin, which a lot of people that have taken it know that number one side effect of it is weight gain. Um, I got fat. There's like zero denying. I just got fat. I hated myself for it. I hated the way I looked, hated the way I felt. Um, and that's when I just went back to the gym. I'm like, screw it. My arm's either going to work or it's not going to work. And just started throwing weight back around, fell back in love with the gym. And it actually brought me back to bodybuilding, to be honest, just because being a competitor growing up, I think all of us kind of have that background. But, it was that drive of like, all right, I'm going to do this now. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's what happened.
How long did it take you to fully like rehab that? Because you started going to the gym, and then when did you notice like the nerve was like pain was like gone, or
I,
way
you know,
less?
it was pretty quick when I realized the gym was it was a working form of rehab.
So tool.
Just yeah, just being something was having to put mind muscle connection back together to feel the movement allowed me to realize I can get through this, and it allowed a relief in the fact of the muscles were sore and not the nerve was sore anymore. And I couldn't put a timeline on it. I don't quite remember. I'd have to look at, I mean, because I have
Pictures.
all of the, yeah, I have all the x-rays, all the scans, all the everything. as it was progressing. But I just remember, I just very much remember the day I was like, screw this, I'm not taking this gabapentin. And
Yeah.
I went down to the local gym and just started throwing weight around again.
I've heard a lot of people that have suffered nerve damage, they have to like do things in the mirror if they can see that arm working or that muscle working, whatever that tends to help with the nerve um, rehabilitation, I guess you could say. That's a lot, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wicked.
That's a lot.
It was wicked. And I growing up racing motorcycles, like I had my fair share of injuries. I broke
Oh yeah.
both ankles at one time. I probably had 8 broken collarbones. I've cracked femurs and all sorts of just gnarly bone breaks. But the nerve damage thing, it's so bad, and it's like you can't describe it to anybody until you actually have it. It's like it was so bad and drove me so nuts because it's like you just couldn't sleep because you were
Mm.
just in pain. And that was the worst part of it. It's like the best way to describe it in the bodybuilding world is like you're on too high of a GH dose and your arm goes numb in the middle of the night and you like are trying to stand up and dance it out, except it doesn't go away.
Mhm.
Like it's just all the time, 24/7. Yeah, it was gnarly.
So that's what brought you back to bodybuilding. But what first put you there? You said your first show was 2018. So when did you consider like when you first got into bodybuilding? Not just lifting weights, because we all kind of like get into lifting weights initially, but like when was like the time where you saw like, oh, bodybuilding might be something I want to do?
It's weird. It's one of those things that I think has always been embedded in my life without knowing it. My mom competed in the IFBB. My dad
Oh,
was he was a power lifter. My godfather was an Olympic power lifter. I just grew up not knowing it, but grew up going to the gym and you hang out in the corner or on a chair while mom and dad were lifting. And, I loved it. The community was great. Um, as I got older, playing sports in school plus racing, just being competitive. But, I turned 16 or so, started going to the gym with my brother more actively. And there was a guy, y'all might know him, Horatio Fair. Um, he won Texas State
sounds
last
familiar.
year. Yeah, he won Texas State last year, open bodybuilding, and then got his pro card in December as a super heavy.
For
Just a
sure.
massive dude, but I kind of just like saw him around. I was training at a gym with bodybuilders. It was like, didn't realize how many people were around me that competed. And one day I remember walking into the gym and the gym owner at the time up in Dallas, I said, "Hey, what do I need to do to start competing?" His whole thing was, are you natural? I said, yeah. He's like, all right, we're going to keep it that way. I think everybody should start natural. And, that's, like I said, I was getting my ass beat. And there's a part of it you just like, you love it, but you hate it at the same time. Um, and yeah, that's kind of what got me into it, though, was just being around it and not even realizing I was around it for a long time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. That's I you know, I kind of got lucky, I think, falling into the bodybuilding space because my family was not athletic. Yeah, I wasn't raised. I mean, I played sports, but like, my family weren't big sports people or anything like that. So, um, I'm excited to see what happens when, um, like my child will be raised with somebody who is, you know what I mean? So it's like how you were raised with being around it and then so on and so forth, right? So, I think that's super cool.
Yeah. And, Logan, to that point, the coolest part of this whole prep is now my son, he understands and he's cognizant of the world like around him and he's trying to learn. And like, I never once am like, I want him to be a bodybuilder. I want him to compete or any of that. But like, he sees me take check-ins every morning, or is, I'm up in the morning doing cardio. So he comes out to the garage while I'm on the stair climber to say good morning or, all these things. And it's like now dude will just be standing in the living room and throw up a front double, and he'll tell him,
Mhm.
"Dad, front double, dad, side chest," and he starts throwing it, and it's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's cool because I was never like that as a kid, and also my parents weren't actively competing at that point. When they were when my brother was born, not by the time I was born. Um, so it's one of those that like, man, I'm sure something will be instilled in him at a young age where it'll be cool just to see where he goes, even from a competitor standpoint. And that's kind of like, as a dad, it's cool to see. Like, it's really fun.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to be said about like, the environment that they're raised in and the epigenetics that you pass down from the things that you choose to implement in your life, whether it's working out or sitting on the couch or whatever the case is, right? We pass down certain genes through that, and I just find it extremely fascinating that we can, mold our kids from our habits, right? Um, no, my wife is cooking. I can smell it. So what do you do for a living? Like,
Uh, Depends on who you ask, because some people think I just don't work. No, I'm a residential project manager. So I do residential construction.
okay.
Um, I started in new home construction when I lived in Dallas. I did that for a long time. When I moved here to Houston, so when I met my wife, we had been long distance for 4 years, 5 years, something like that. And then finally one day, it was like, let's figure it out. We want to get engaged. I can do construction anywhere. I'll come to you. So I moved down here we were in, what is that, Oak Ridge North or Oak Ridge,
Mhm.
when I first moved here in a rental. But when I was coming, I didn't apply for anything because I was going to transfer in my company. I had been high up in that position, but I decided to put one resume into this tech company that does real estate, and I got a call the next morning at 6 a.m. Hey, we want to rifle you through all these interviews and everything. So I now do renovation construction. Um, and during prep, just to the whole what do I do for work thing, during prep, I've always been a performer within my company. Very grateful. I think, my work ethic has just always been great, but they wanted to essentially make my position remote because we were buying houses in areas that we don't consider core markets. Um, so I'm actually right now doing my normal drive around project management job from a desk.
Yeah.
So when they called me and they were like, "Hey, we got a list of 3 names. You're number one. Do you want to take it?" And I said, "I'm in prep. Hell yeah, I want to take it."
Absolutely, yeah.
Got a walking pad, got a standing desk for downstairs, and I was like, you know what, this is like most ideal, especially because, like we said, I was running the ringer this year, so it was nice. But yeah, I'm a project manager and I do construction.
So are you like we had a guy when we, built this house that I would consider a project manager, I guess, and he kind of oversaw everything. He was the contact point. He kind of, it made sure everything ran smoothly, I guess. And I assume that's kind of what you do is you high level manage everything and make sure that everything's done according to what the customer wants.
Yeah. So that's how I started, was what he did.
Okay.
When I was in new home, that's what I did. It's funny that being in that position, everything is kind of automated when it comes to it's not an easy job. I'm not saying it's an easy job, but everything has a workflow. Every house is built the same in a progress every single time. Um, I had a lot of good mentors that just taught me why those things are done in that order. Because you can all day look at a piece of paper and be like, all right, I got to order this next, call this customer, do this. It's checking boxes. Once I got the why, I realized, when I came to the renovation side, some of these contractors don't even know why we would not put in, cabinets before flooring, or vice, in situations when you have to make audibles and everything. And it's like, I definitely work more mentally on the renovation side because I'm doing a lot of thinking for the general contractors. But it's so rewarding. I mean, it essentially, it started as what you said. It's managing a portfolio of homes that are track homes, or they have a set flow of being built, and then it graduated to now I walk into a house, I can tell you what a house needs, what it doesn't need, what it's going to need to get listed, sold, based on the area, market, condition, all that stuff, and it's a lot of fun.
That's
Sounds a
cool.
lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, it actually really does. especially since I've decided I like working on homes more than I like working on cars. So, um,
Yeah, that's a whole
yeah,
nother beast.
cars are a pain in the ass, man. I can't
Yeah.
stand it anymore, to be honest. So, what's the dream? What you said that stepping off the stage this year was bittersweet. And I'm curious as to what you meant by that. Do you just mean bittersweet for the year? Are you planning on continuing to compete? Kind of what's the dream here?
I mean, big dream is next. I appreciate when I went to David, and I've had a handful of coaches. I'm definitely not the person that rifles through coaches. Um, but I've never had a coach that wanted to know short-term and long-term goal on a piece of paper every single week. What's your long-term? What's your short-term? Um, Last year, my short-term was to just win my open class. You know,
Mhm.
first show of the year, step on stage, won my open class. I'm going, oh shit, my short-term goal was truly a short-term goal. We got there. Check. Next, it was win an overall for my long-term goal. I did that in the same show, so it was one of
Mhm.
those that things happen quick. And I reevaluated, and all the way up to juniors, my next goals were be competitive at national level. I just wanted to make a first call out. I just wanted to be in that mix. And then I would say my long-term goal is to go pro. I think moving forward from being competitive with this last weekend on a national stage, my next goal is to go pro. Um, just continue to have fun in the sport. I mean, I don't know what that timeline exactly looks like. It's different for everybody. Any given Saturday, somebody shows up. So it's one of
Sure.
those that my time will come. I'm sure of it. But past that, I mean, just have fun in the sport. Um, this prep, I learned to balance life and family really well. And I think that will always be my goal for as long as I'm going to compete, is just keep that prioritization to the things that matter the most. I mean, like, yeah, you can pick up a container, you can go anywhere, but like, are you present? Are you active? Am I getting down on the floor with my son to play with magnetiles every night? The stuff that really matters. Just where am I going? Who knows? But I'm taking my family with me, and they're number one. And I think my mindset towards bodybuilding and just life in general shifted when I had a son. I met my wife,
Mm.
knew I wanted a family, did not realize once I had a family that was actually like a child, a wife, everything. It's like your whole world just like changes, and you don't even know why or what
Mhm.
happened. You're just like, I would. You always say I'd live and die for them. Well, I mean, like, now I get it. I like truly
Yeah.
get it. So, um, yeah, long term, we're maybe short term. Who knows? We'll go pro. I do know now that we want to try for number two. My reproductive health is number one on
Mhm.
the table right now. Um, Especially because obviously wife helped so much for me to be able to do this prep.
Mhm.
Um, and then past that, once we have kind of an idea when that might be, try to line something up to maybe just get one last national done, just to see if we can be. I would, if I had a perfect world, I would go to Junior USA's next year. Um, I think that that's another national that I can be really competitive in. Um, but yeah, who knows? It's no rush. There's, you know, nothing's going anywhere. Everybody, like I said, everybody's got their own timeline, just having fun with
Yeah.
it. So,
So what do you think that needs to happen in your physique to get there?
back detail for sure. Um, I would, I call that number one. It's funny. I've had striated glutes in this whole prep. It's like I just like hanging by a string right there to get them. And it's funny. David kept telling me, "Don't worry about it. It doesn't even matter." Not a single judge said anything about my glutes and the shape, anything. And it's like, man, it ate at me so bad this year. But just overall, from heel to trap, I want to be absolutely shredded to the gill on my back, because I do think my front shot is really solid. Um, and then just continue to grow that shape, that X frame as we're doing it. So those are the two things that I think would really benefit me. Um, I mean, hell, I'd love to hear what y'all think. To be honest,
I
it's all
think you have,
subjective. So
yeah, I think you have the same assessment that I do.
yeah,
Yeah.
my back just
Harder
it's
and
got
bigger from the
size.
back.
Yeah, my back has got size. It just doesn't have that detail, and we knew that this year. Um, and that's why part of my peaks and everything else was we're just going to keep you full because your front shot looks so good. It'll get you in front of the judges
Yeah.
quickly. We know inevitably we're going to lose points at the back, but I would rather it be menial to losing the front pose, trying to manipulate down to get the back more shredded, when in reality we just need tissue and detail.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really the name of the game, especially that backside. The backside, when you see somebody that turns from the back to do a back double and they have just like meaty hamstrings and meaty glutes and back that's crazy, you know that dude is strong as shit. You know that dude is
Yeah.
pulling some weight. That guy can RDL, he can row some weight. That just takes time. So I think that's muscle maturity. That's time. People always, chasing the glutes. Sometimes if you have small glutes, sometimes it's just not going to show up. You need to build more glutes or build more hamstrings to get more hamstring detail. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's rinse and repeat of just conditioning, getting as conditioned as you can, building back up. Don't let it go on too long and then go get conditioned again and just rinse and repeat and just live the lifestyle more thoroughly and eventually you'll get there. But this is not a race. I tell anybody who wants to do this and wants to do it seriously, this is a marathon. If you think you're going to turn pro or your first national show or your second or third, depending on what class you're going to do, I mean, expectations, because as soon as you win that pro card, guess what happens? You go right from the top of the amateur right to the bottom of the pros. So
Well,
take your time.
and it's crazy to me the amount of people that think that going pro changes their life. I've seen a lot of people posting about that, and it's like it has never been more than just a step in the journey to me, no matter where you're at. Unless you're doing it at 18, 19, 20 years old, you're just turning pro. Like, I hate to say it, but it's so true. It's like, unless you're just that genetic anomaly that first show you did, then judges told you to go do national, then you go win the overall at a pro or at a national level, you're not an Olympian. Like, sure, you could point your way into it, or you could show up to the right show at the right time. But man, it's so funny that like so many people, I've realized are genuinely think it changes their life. I'm like, it's just a goal, like more than anything.
I think you see that mindset too a lot. And then those people that turn pro fast, most of the time they stay the lower tier of pros for
For a long
very
time.
long time. Unless they're a genetic anomaly like an Anton or something like that, where they can really climb very fast. Most likely the guys that do really well, like there was a guy in nationals last year who won, I think, Battle of Texas, black guy in Class B. He went and then did nationals. He's been doing it for 10 years. One of the best physiques I've ever seen on the stage, and he's been doing like 12 shows, and he finally got up. But now he can actually be competitive because he's taken the time to build the physique. He can be relatively competitive really quickly. The goal is to be competitive eventually in the pro level, right? You don't want to get pro and then take another 5 years to be in a top call out. Just take your time.
I think two prime examples of that are Nick Walker and Regan Grimes, right? Like,
Yeah, there you
Regan
go.
is the genetic anomaly who got his pro card really early on, and he's been at this for what, a decade now of being in the
Yeah,
pro ranks, and he's still not placing that high. But then you get Nick Walker, who it took him 5, 6, 7 national shows to go pro. But when he did,
it was like,
he
bam.
got second like the next weekend or something in
Yeah.
Chicago, and then he won the New York Pro like a year later. So
It's bodybuilding. You can never compare
yeah,
your timeline to anybody else, and I think that's really the comparison, right? Everyone always
yeah,
says thief is comparison's the thief of joy, and that's true, and it's especially true for bodybuilding. Stay in your own lane. Focus on what you're doing. Your journey is just as important to you than the person next to you. So don't worry about how fast someone else is climbing, or how long it's taking you, or how quick somebody's doing it. It does not matter. It's the love of bodybuilding is that you love the process, that you encompass it into your life. You make your family all about it, your wife, children, all these things. You're present in it and you're not letting it take over these things. And if you can do that, and if you can imbue it into your entire life, I mean, it's a beautiful thing when it all comes together. And the community that you surround yourself with, the people that you find along the way, be some of the best people that you can find along the way. But you just gotta absolutely love and enjoy the process of it, or else I feel like you're just looking for a quick dopamine hit, and it's never gonna last.
Nope.
yeah. I gotta say, I think I admire that about you is that that you're able to be a good father, be a good husband, and be a good competitor,
Yeah.
and good at your job, all at the same time. And then, just taking the mindset of having fun in bodybuilding and taking it one step at a time. Okay, well, I just want to be competitive I just want to win an open class, right? And now I just want to win an overall, right? I think that stepping stone goal is great, especially for people like us with decently good genetics, average genetics, right? But none of us are phenoms. If we were, we would be competitive by now. You know what I
Yep,
mean? We'd all
absolutely.
be pros, right? But we're not. Um, for now, Ian might be here in, what, 8, 9 weeks, 12 weeks, something like that. I don't know.
All right, dude.
No, I genuinely feel like between there's even in Houston in general, there's not a whole lot of I would consider really high. We all travel to Dallas or somewhere else for like those really highly competitive shows, and to show up and like Logan, for even like the last time you were on stage, it was like, damn, like y'all look so damn good. And by the way, I do want to say thank you for all those things that you said, Logan. I mean,
Yeah.
I genuinely tried to. I don't want my social media to reflect something that I'm not. Those are the things I am. Like I don't get off the camera, or I don't set
Yeah,
down
yeah.
my phone, or it's like, no. Like I very much every night take my son outside, or if it's raining, we play inside with the Legos, Magnetiles, do something. It's like, you know, I think that's another thing, whole nother topic, but I appreciate that because it's like, I genuinely try to be that person all the time. Just be a good person, period. That's what I want my son to do, is just be a better person. But back to the man, it's like I think any of us have the potential at any given Saturday, like I always say, to show up at a national level, show up at a regional level. But it's like, I just try to make my goal realistic every time and move it a little bit because uh, everybody's timeline, So yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. Ian, is there anything else you wanted to cover?
um, yeah. What's your favorite steroid? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Oh,
No, but you can answer that if you want to.
You
Halo
know,
shit.
be careful. Ian might ask you for butt plug recommendations. Oh, I'm
I'll
sorry.
just ask. I'll just ask to
I'm
see the whole
kidding. I'm
thing.
kidding.
I got one for Christmas that glows. It's kind of cool.
Ooh, strobe lights.
I was gonna wear it on stage, but it shows through my trunks.
Show through your trunk. Yeah, perfect.
It's so funny. I'm always the yes man when it comes to just doing any protocol, doing anything. But I also told David the day that I signed up with him, and one of the biggest things is like, I don't want to abuse drugs. I just don't. I want to keep my health intact. I want to do this for a long time. Don't want to abuse drugs. I had a pretty moderate, I would say moderate. I didn't use, aside from Pro V and Winnie and a little bit of Clen, were my only orals going into nationals. So I was pretty conservative from the aspect of there's guys running that
Oh,
at a high level plus Halo plus you could throw in all of them. Um, I like VAR. I think VAR is a good one. It gives you an edge, I feel like. I didn't notice that much on Halo. But y'all are both smirking. What are your thoughts?
well, go ahead, Logan. Logan's a drug addict, so
I'm the resident drug dealer, drug addict. Yeah.
he's the drug addict. He's the
I
steroid
think I've only
abuser.
the only drug I've never tried is DHB. Yeah.
And well, Trent Hex, but do we count that?
I mean, fuck, I'm not using Trinhex. What's the point?
All right,
It's
so I
just
have a question then. What are our takes on insulin?
time and place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's extremely useful. You just have to know what you're doing, be smart, and you have to work like a job like you like work from home. You can't be out doing bullshit. Like you got to be pretty smart when you're using it. But I think it's pretty beneficial, but it's not necessary for a lot of people. I think.
Yeah,
And it's yeah.
I was
It's
simply
also
curious
a
because I had that conversation this last week with David. I was like, I don't. He didn't bring it up. I had actually. It was just a complete joke where he had. I don't know why my dog's barking. He had said something. I just said, "All right, time to bring in some insulin." And I was like, and my immediate text back was, "Just kidding. Don't want to die." I just like, I don't know. I'm so
I tell
I've
you
heard
what,
so many bad things about it, and people going hypo and everything else. It's like I just don't know if I could. That's why I had to ask.
um, it depends on how you use it, right? I know some people that like to use that long acting. I'm not really a fan of that methodology. I
No.
typically like a Humalog around, pre-workout, right before I walk into the gym, I take it. And generally speaking, when I have a protocol like that I've got like 100 grams of carbs pre-workout. I've probably got, 60, 70, 80 grams of carbs intra-workout. And then I've got probably another 100 to 150 grams of carbs post-workout. And so it's more than enough carbs to cover the spread. And all it's really
Yeah.
doing is helping you eat more food and not put the strain on the pancreas of having to produce all of that insulin.
Yeah. Plus, you're keeping it all
So,
around training too, so everything's moving around. So it's not like you're just sitting and doing it, just chilling.
and your post show, you throw in a little bit of GH, a little bit of insulin, dog, the pumps will be debilitatingly painful. I mean, like, your back pump will be so insane that your ribs will all hurt simultaneously because it's like pulling against it. It's the craziest feeling I've ever had in my life.
Well,
Yeah,
Tyler's post show, so I mean,
that's what I'm saying, dog.
I
And
mean,
and that's where the comment came from, and it's something that I'm not against. But like I said, I've never been huge on pushing drugs
Yeah.
just because I respond well. But man, it's like I just feel like we're knocking on a door. Why not try it, see what it does for me, and well, who knows? We'll see.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of bioidentical hormones. And like, for example, I really like throughout the health phase of the use of a little bit of, growth hormone and insulin, to kind of facilitate, some of that rebound effect, as you will, as you come off of the steroids and things like that. Is it necessary? Absolutely not. It's not necessary. But is it fun? Yeah. Could it be beneficial? Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
I feel like if anything, I just view it as a shuttle for, like you said, nutrient partition,
Yeah.
and just
that's
getting things where they need to go.
Yeah. Take pressure off the pancreas, and it's really it.
that's pretty much it. But I feel like if you would really want to use that, I would make sure that sleeping is top priority, stress is low, food has to be high enough to facilitate it, training needs
Yeah.
to be high enough to facilitate, intensity needs to be. There's like 17 different variables that need to be in place, along with how
Yeah.
are you in your drug load? Or can you go up a little bit more in your drug load? Could you get the same response? Once you get to those areas, then I think you could start kind of playing around with those things. But like, this is a runway that we want to stretch out for as long as we can. I mean, Logan knows kind of how I am. I try to stretch it out as long as I can. I'm trying to spend a lot of time doing this, not a short time. So I'm trying to just take it, nice and easy with most people. If you were trying to jump up divisions, like one or two divisions, so you want to
Yeah.
go to a more muscular division, like fucking, I'm gonna go heavyweight or something like that. This is when you talk about drug load, insulin use, carbohydrate, stuff like that, where that would be a much more efficient response to putting on size rather than taking, that might take you 3 or 4 years depending on how well you respond to food, drugs, and training stimulus. So
Yeah.
it really just depends.
Also, I found that when it comes to growth hormone and insulin, people respond very differently. Some guys grow really well using those, and some guys don't.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a depending on the person type of thing. But if that is a decision that, and I would assume that we all know this, but I'm gonna say this because it's going on the internet. If that is a route that you decide to take, you need to make sure you keep a glucometer on you at all times, and you need to make sure that you keep some kind of sugar on you at all times. So, especially, well, I say at all times, around that window of when you're taking the insulin, right? You need to make sure that you have those two things on you at all times. Gatorade, I always prefer something liquid, so generally like a Gatorade is what I keep personally. But yeah, those two things are always a must around that time that you're gonna use the insulin.
Yeah, I think another good one is too, if you're going to use get like sugar icing, because sometimes if somebody actually starts going hypo and you actually can't get them to have, you can just rub it along their gums real quick and you'll get
Yeah.
that absorption really fast. So you don't have to like manually have something. Those are the things that you just have to know, like in emergency situations. But again, yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like, as long as you have everything around you, like you can easily prevent this. It would
How have you ever
really-
gone hypo, Tyler?
No, I do. I have always known that my blood sugar gets extremely low depending on how hard I'm pushing. I've seen, and maybe it is hypo, but I've had that get off the stair climber and like, all right, I got to sit down for like 15 minutes before I get in the car.
Yeah,
Like,
shaky and pale
yeah,
and
yeah,
like
yeah,
feverish.
Cold,
Yeah.
cold sweats.
Cold sweats.
cold
Yeah,
sweats,
that's
and
hypo.
like you see
Yeah, that's
you
hypo.
see just like light
Mhm.
coming down, and you're like, dude, what the
That can happen randomly too, honestly.
yeah.
That happened to me not in prep.
Fortunately, like I said, this last prep, I was so high in food and everything was great. But I appreciate that input because, like I said, it's something that I like joked about, but now I'm like, you know what? So it was a good segue. Only last question I had, Logan, since now that you have your horizon set within your family, are you planning on anything coming up?
So the the thing was that at 12 weeks I was going to go back on drugs and we were going to start pushing for the off season again, right? Last time I stepped on a national stage, I was way under my weight cap. So my weight cap is 209. I was 193 on stage, right? So we're talking like 16 pounds. So the goal was to push again, right? But I forgot to do something. So I was supposed to freeze sperm. I inquired about the freezing of sperm. I just forgot to follow through with it. And I was going to continue on the fertility drugs as well until sperm was frozen. But sometimes I'm not always very thoughtful. And so what happened is I went to inject the FSH and I dropped the bottle and it shattered. And I was like, well, fuck it. She's already pregnant, so I don't need to worry about it. Right. So went completely off the drugs, and then I forgot to do the freezing of sperm until she's 12 weeks. I check in with Barry, and he says, "Okay, go." Right? She says, "Did you freeze your sperm?" And I said, "Fuck, no." So I sent it off for retesting, and it's already bad again.
Damn.
It's not horrendous, but it's already bad again. It's not good enough to freeze. So I'm back on fertility drugs. Probably, hopefully it's only 12 weeks that I'm on fertility drugs and then I get to start pushing things back up again.
At least you're candid about it.
Yeah, I have no problem being honest about anything.
Oh yeah, me either.
Yeah,
Authentically me, my wife drives her nuts because things just fly out sometimes.
Yeah. I told my wife, like, she's always makes these jokes like, why did I marry you? I was like, I don't know, because I've been this same person since day one. Like, I fart, I cuss, like, I am who I am. If you don't like it, then
Yep.
it is what it is.
It's the only way to be honest with you.
Anything else?
No, appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, I think that
That's
pretty
it.
much answered everything. Tyler, we appreciate you taking the time to speak with us, man.
Yep. Thank you, Tyler.
Likewise.
Yep, look forward to seeing what you do. So y'all have a wonderful evening.
All right, see ya.